Hey everybody, we are The Natural Ones, a Dungeons & Dragons comedy cast that takes place in the Roselands, an original fantasy world and a land slipping into chaos as the players try to do their best in keeping things in check. Sort of. Join players Jerry, Pat, and Aiden as they roll their way out of whatever Dungeon Master Zektown puts in front of them. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Google Play, and wherever else you find your podcasts. Find us on Twitter at TheNat1SCast. Again, that's TheNat1SCast. We are a proud founding member of the A Tale of D20's podcast network.
With a confused party guests looking at each other with bewilderment and the hall in an escalating state of disarray, what do you all do next?
What's going
Where's
on?
the king? If he doesn't show up, how are we supposed to give him this?
Do you think he's in danger? How are the other guests reacting as well?
If anyone's looking around and checking out the room, you can roll me a perception check. We have Cal with a 24, Duran with a 23, Horatio with a 16, Monaco with a 16, and King with a 15. So you all are pretty perceptive. You're on alert, looking around this grand ballroom that stretches far, far to the other side. You're looking at all the many guests dressed in their beautiful clothes. They seem to be kind of whispering to each other. Looking at over the guards, everyone who rolled higher than, I will say, an 18, you can hear that they are talking about, they're wondering where the king is. They're saying, like, you hear one guard go, not again, find him, and they're all running back and forth, while the guests are just like, what's going on here? I don't know, the king is supposed to be here. Did something happen? Anything to do with there's undead outside? And so on and so forth. People keep going and starting to get a little uproar in the ballroom.
Monaco whispers to Cal in Infernal, I kind of expected this.
I respond in the same way. What do you mean? How did you think this was going to go down? Do you think the Arcanum is up to something?
Oh no, I kind of suspected he might have been, a little unprofessional or unkingly. Sorry, I shouldn't say anything else. And then she kind of shakes her head.
Duran's going to brain chat to everyone, saying that, it seems like this may not be the first time this has happened. Maybe King makes a habit of not showing up at these kinds of events.
I did hear a guard say this can't be happening again.
So do you think he's just a lush?
I mean...
It is quite possible, but then why would Queen Camilla put so much faith in this letter?
He must be a worthy individual.
I think that not all is as it seems.
Do you think that there will be a battle?
I'm not sure, but I'm glad I kept these.
I'm so upset that I do not have Caliburn by my side.
I don't think we're gonna have to fight. I mean, the guards are here.
As at that moment, as the guards are running in and out, more people are entering through the large doorway that you have passed through. Everyone with a passive perception that's 18 or higher, looking over, you see in the corner of your eye, Judean Sunfield brush past the guards who were in there as they tried to check him. Lifting up his hands, he stops them in their place, and they kind of give him almost a nod or a bow, nod-like bow, and he continues walking forward, dressed in a very elegant, beautiful blue wizard's robe that goes down to the ground and kind of drags onto the floor. He walks on over and begins whispering with one of the guards, and the rest of you, and all the entire place hears a loud booming noise after a snap of a finger echoes throughout the chamber. You hear, silence! And at that moment, everyone just stops talking. The music dies down, and everyone is pretty much staring over at Judean. The king will be making his arrival soon. Please, calm yourselves down, people, nobles of Telos. Enjoy the snacks and meals that have been placed before you. The king will arrive shortly. And he eyes all of you, and you all notice that he kind of gives you a look, especially you, Horatio. Roll me an insight check.
All of us or just him?
Just Horatio. Okay, so you rolled an 8.
Do I have my Arabu bonus? I don't know if I don't know if I've...
lock.
I'm sorry.
What was that?
Do I have my D8? I don't know if I've used it yet or not. I don't think I have.
You should have had a
your
D8.
El Rabu bonus?
Yeah, my Arabu bonus.
You did use it during your training, because this is that night.
Okay.
So you do not have it any longer.
Alright, so I rolled an 8.
Okay. He just gives you a look. You're not sure what it means, but he looks like he's either up to something or is alerting you to be on your guard. Just kind of like this stern look he gives you. That's all you kind of get from that. So you kind of keep your attention onto him as he walks with one of the guards in between one of the doorways to the left of this grand hall. As the music turns back on and people continue talking, and it seemed that his presence alone seemed to calm down the entirety of the room. A couple of the guests are kind of walking around and chatting with themselves, and two of them walk into your direction as they see you're kind of hanging out by yourselves, and they kind of have inquisitive looks. Walking up to all of you, you see is a beautifully dressed human woman with tan skin, wearing a golden necklace and with earrings, and she looks up to you and says, hello there. I haven't recognized you all here before. Are you new to Thelos?
Oh, yes, thank you. Nice to meet your acquaintance. We are honored guests of King Thelos and the Corporis Arcana. We are the Liberators.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to meet you all, Liberators. My name is Lydia. Lydia Garloon. And she gives you a curtsy. This here is my retainer, Barnan. And standing next to, you see, it's a very, very buff, transparent Air Genasi that stands next to her. Though he's wearing similarly styled tuxedo that he has on here with a matching gold necklace that's almost identical to the one that she's wearing. But he does not say any words, but normally he just grunts to you and goes,
What was the name?
Lydia Galoon and Barnon, right?
Yes, exactly. And for you.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Lydia. My name is Harley Quinn. This is Minako. We have Horatio, Dulary, and Kane.
Hello.
Cal, Morgal.
Nice to meet you.
And I'll say in Elvish, my love, Miss Nathan, Duran the Gale.
Grandfather.
Are you saying all that entire line in Elvish, or just...
Like my love in Elvish, and then Duran the Gale in Common.
Okay.
Miss Nathan, Duran the Gale.
Duran goes humph in Common.
Okay. She kind of smiles when she hears the Elvish coming from your lips, and she responds in Elvish, which everyone who speaks Elvish knows. She says, "Oh, how lucky you are to have found each other." As she looks at the two of you, and then she says in common, "It's a pleasure to meet all of you. So what do you take of Judean and what's going on with the king?"
Actually, we were just discussing that. This is our first major gala event. Is this normally what happens with the King of Thelos?
I've heard he can be a little, he's a very interesting fellow, and very talented and powerful indeed. And I hear all of his galas are quite exciting, so I'm sure...
Is this your first gala as well?
Oh, no, not at all, not at all. I've been to plenty of galas. And she kind of chuckles.
Insight check.
Alright, roll an insight check.
Do you enjoy King Terminus as your leader?
He is a very powerful man, very righteous, and one of the best leaders that this city has ever known.
Do I believe her?
You can roll an insight check. With your 15, Horatio, it seems like she's very confident in what she's saying about King Terminus, and also that there's definitely an oddity to her. Like, she's really talking up King Terminus, and just something off about her. You're not sure. Alright, King, so you rolled a 9?
And then I luckied it to a 14.
Okay. Same things. Same things. You learn that you just like you really like she at least believes what she's saying, and she's very confident in what she's saying. Though there is something weird.
Something about it.
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
Yeah, about
She
her.
just doesn't want to say. It might be taboo to say the things she wants to say. So okay.
But she just goes on smiling and continues going. King Terminus is amazing, and he's brilliant and very handsome indeed, as well as I heard.
We're actually hoping to meet him today.
Oh, I'm sure you will. He likes to make an entrance.
You can see.
Barnon over there just sits there and grunts as well, similar to the grunt from Duran. But tell me, what have you heard of King Terminus? What are your thoughts on him?
Well, we've heard that he was once a great adventurer and fought beside many strong individuals.
That he has. Oh, so I've heard.
He must be very powerful indeed.
Oh, he is. Oh, so I've heard.
Well,
Horatia's kind of looking around for Judean, and then kind of looks at when Lydia is like, so I've heard, kind of just shoots her a look.
So what do you do?
Oh, and she said, turning to you, and I am a very powerful sorceress. Yes, that's it. And I am a advisor to the king. That's what it is. I am an advisor to the king as for sorcery.
you seem a little unsure. Are you?
Okay. I'm gonna roll an insight check this
Go
time.
right ahead.
I happen to have a little knack with arcane. What's your specialty?
20?
The 20, she's lying to your face. And you definitely, she's lying. And as you ask your question, King, she goes, my specialty? Looking over towards the Genasi, he goes, my specialties are enchantments. Yes, that's what it would be, enchantments.
Strong deja vu
So,
vibes.
we've been talking to them for a while. At this point, I know my enemy ability might kick in. If we've been talking for more than a minute, it gives me details and information like what's our difference in level and our difference in certain stats.
Sure, what would you like to know?
What's my level compared to her level? Like
Your level, I wouldn't say dwarfs, but your level's well below this woman.
Well, below.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
That's deja vu. That's deja vu.
No. Strength too stronger for me.
What's your
It's
strength?
like 10.
Oh, she's much stronger than you.
It's deja vu.
Oh no, we would not be so lucky. These stats are way more powerful than deja vu.
But she walks on over to you, very giddy, and says, oh, wait, it's about to begin, this will be great! And at that moment, when she does, you see some of the guests who are drinking and having their food and snacks. And she's staring directly at this person. You kind of follow her eyes as well. And then the woman that she's staring at, wearing a very long, Elizabethan-like dress with a circular bottom. She just, sipping her tea, and she goes, "Ooh!" and begins, holding, "Ooh!" and everyone starts backing away from her as she's making these, convulsions. And coming out of her mouth, you're looking on, and Lydia just has sparkling with excitement. Her eyes watering, she's smiling. You see a bunch of frogs just hop out of her mouth. She's like, rabbit, and then more bop out, and then you hear another scream from the other side of the room as they look over, and there's one gentleman. He just burping uncontrollably, and bubbles just keep popping out of his mouth. It's almost like a scene from Willy Wonka as several of the attendants just begin either spitting up some type of creature, or bubbles or water spews out of their mouth. One gentleman begins floating in air. He's like, oh, and Lydia is just laughing and and holding her stomach and moving back and forth.
Are you doing
She's
this?
laughing
What are
at
you
this.
doing to these people?
Monaco laughs.
Oh, this is amazing!
Oh, wow. What an interesting show. These galas really are incredible, aren't they?
I like you, Monaco. And she continues laughing as more effects of strange debauchery and kookiness just starts happening to all the attendants who've been eating and drinking any of the meals. Stepping out immediately, you see from one of the doors is an extremely angry stepping up from it's the main door where they made the announcement for the king, like the double doors up the staircase. Bursting out of them is Judean Sunfell as he looks on over and hears the commotion because it's quite loud in there. As people are floating around, cakes are exploding in this massive, strange event. As he looks on over angry, his eyes immediately shoot towards where you all are, and you see Lydia look up, stop laughing, goes, "Ah, shit!" and you hear coming out of booming once again from Judean's voice, "Dispello Maximando!" And as he does, there's a big, gigantic, spherical energy that spawns out from his staff that he's holding, that he slams onto the ground, encompassing the entirety of the ballroom. Everyone just suddenly freezes in motion, and either slowly float back down to the ground, stop spitting up what they were, and everything, although it's a mess, starts to disappear and dispel all around you. Once again, he takes out his staff as everything starts to die down, points it at what looks to be Horatio, but then you now notice he's pointing at Lydia. And Lydia starts to back up slowly. You hear coming out of Judean's mouth, "Rivello!" Poof! As he stops it once again, and coming out of his staff, it hits an energy, a white light hits Lydia as she begins to glow, and her very dainty, thin hands and legs begin to grow and become bulbous and enlarge, and the dress begins to fade away and turn to looks to be more like a robe. The short brown hair she had begins to grow out long and blonde, as what looks to be some type of headgear in the shape of a crown begins to form into her head. Her features change from the feminine outtake of what it currently is to more masculine, bulbous, muscular, as she begins to grow from her 5'7" taller into a size that's just about as tall, even taller than Duran, hitting about 7'3", until eventually, in a puff of smoke, you see standing before you is a large man with kind of light brown skin, blue eyes, and just kind of dissipating the energy of just arcane around him, as everyone looks in shock and gasp, and you see before you with a very bushy blonde, well, I'm gonna say it's bushy, it's very it's bushy but kempt, beard and mustache. The grace from you just see this large wizard standing before you, and then Judean yells out, "Thadeus, Recume, Terminus, enough!" And everyone around just starts to bow. "My king, my liege, and you're just all surrounding in this space King Terminus as he stands there kind of looking very, like with a weird, mischievous smile on his face, scratching his blonde hair. "Ah, you found me!"
My liege, what an entrance! Deep curtsy.
Horatio kind of just bows his head a bit and says, "Your Highness?"
Duran is too gobsmacked to react. He's still trying to put together what happened.
King has quickly processed it and says, "That's quite the entrance there, Your Majesty." And I'll give a bow.
Cal tips his head and says, "My king."
"Well, it's nice to see you all. I'm sorry to have tricked you like that."
I don't think you are.
You're right. Judean walks down, and kind of the sea of people part for him as he steps down. A couple of guards behind him, and then all eyes are on you, specifically because King Terminus is right there, and standing is Judean Sunfell. "Terminus, enough of your games. This is the gala. Please, can it go without any kind of problem? Every time. This is the first time you've seen Judean get so flustered. And just smiling, kind of trying to keep a straight face, King Terminus, who towers above everyone anyway, just kind of just snickers, taking his huge shoulders and kind of knocking Manaka a little bit, since you both were kind of enjoying the ruse, and you stumble over a little bit as he elbows you slightly.
Oops.
I just wanted to try my new enchantment, and it seems to have worked nicely. Oh, what a show I put on! You all enjoyed it, yes? And he looks at all of you.
It was quite a show.
I suppose since no one got hurt, I can laugh about it now.
Yeah, really cool.
And all the entire ballroom starts laughing nervously. All your passive insights tell they're all just laughing because they're like, even though they all just basically got cursed.
So he was here the whole time?
I think so. I think he was just wanting to play a prank. It seems that enchantment is his specialty, and he was able to hide himself so well. Am I correct in that assumption, sir?
Oh, I'm not an enchanter, but, I do like to dabble in enchantment magic.
Oh, what is your specialty, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm a theurgist.
I think King might know what that is, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you can roll me a history check.
Horatio will join in.
Surely. Oh, I thought I was better. I thought I was better than that. Not terrible.
Okay. So, Horatio with a 21 and King with a 19. Theurgist. Because you're a divine sorcerer, King, and because you're so learned, Horatio, you both know it, but for separate reasons. Horatio, you've read this in a book. King, you know just through your divine connection, just the memories or the information is just knowledge in your brain, especially with your connection with Myloki. Theurgists are those who are wizards who delve into the power of gods and the divine. Not like divination where they know the future. These are wizards who channel their godly magic, like a cleric, but in wizard form.
Okay. Like an arcane cleric.
Yeah, well, see, an arcane cleric is like a wizard in cleric form, whereas a theurgist is a cleric in wizard form, if that makes sense. Like, they do things like a wizard, study. They don't get their spells from the god, but they delve into the magics of, like curing and things like that, which is something, wizards cannot do. But,
interesting.
But there's very rare.
Very rare,
something like
interesting.
this. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then, without skipping a beat, I would have responded, that is a very, rare specialty.
Quite.
Thank you, friends. Judean comes in. Well, now that you've made your presence, King Terminus, should not you be taking your place on the throne? And why are you leaving why have you left there without any prior knowledge? You know we need you to keep the symphony up and running. And they kind of share an exchange of looks of silence. Are they talking in their heads? You're not sure, but they're kind of looking at each other in the same fashion you guys look at each other when you use your earrings. And then after about an awkward
I want to interrupt that awkward moment. And I'm going to say,
right.
I'll look towards King Terminus and I'll say, I could help you keep the symphony running if you need assistance.
They cut from their moment. They both stare at you. And King Terminus goes, "No, friend, no. Don't worry. Everything is handled.
It would be an honor. Will you let me know?
I will. But please, enjoy the festivities. So what is this about a letter you said you had for me?
We are actually here on behalf of Queen Camilla. Who has the letter? And I'll scramble and turn towards the group.
I do. And Horatio says, do you think that maybe here's the best time to discuss this, or?
Well, when you mention Queen Camilla, his eyes lights up, and as you're scrambling, he towers over you, almost blocking you from outside vision, because everyone's staring at you, because you're next to the king. And he goes, "Queen Camilla? Shall we head back to my chambers? Judean, can you handle things here while I discuss it with the Liberators?" And Judean kind of looks over at you, Horatio, giving you another look similar to what you saw before. And then he says, "Of course, my liege, I'll attend to your party, but please hurry back. This is not for me, but it is for you." And he nods and says, "Shall we head back and you could tell me more about Queen Camilla?" And he smiles, grin from cheek to cheek as he mentions the name once again, stepping his way with his bulbous eyes over towards the staircase, people parting for him as they did Judean.
Yes, lead the way.
Okay. So as he walks towards the other end of the hall, everyone bowing towards him, and everyone's giving deep bows. And, my liege. And they're kind of looking at you. If you have a passive perception higher than 15, you could tell that they're kind of giving you who are these people? And they're as King Terminus walks past, and you kind of look over towards them and notice that they're snarling at you, almost envious. But nevertheless, you continue walking past the promenade of people, walking up the grand staircase, and he steps in front. There are guards who are guarding the 2 mahogany doors that Judean had walked through, and they kind of bow towards him and open up the door for him. And he goes, follow me, friends, and steps into this kind of dark room.
So we're in his private room now?
Well, you guys, you all just walking through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yep.
I am.
All right.
Do an Arcana check as I walk through.
All right. Roll that Arcana check.
I rolled a 25.
So, with a 25, Horatio, you feel the magic in here. It is oozing with arcane energy. Anyone who's trained in Arcana can feel it, but because you rolled and got such a high number, you can sense very deep, old magic in here. It's almost overwhelming how powerful it is as you walk through. Those who are not trained in Arcana, you don't really feel anything, but if you have any points into it, you definitely feel it in your bones. The hallway as you step through the doors, the dank hallway in there, it's surrounded by stone, whereas everything looked more fancy inner of a castle. This is more of like a cave and cavernous, and there's a dripping sound that can be heard on the other end. Through this long corridor, you see that there is a blue light that is shining, almost like a flashlight or moonlight in a meadow. As you see, it opens up to a large grass-like forest, but you're indoors though. Stepping past this, stepping through, and King Terminus is not speaking. It's kind of this weird silence, almost like not the magic is affecting you, but you just feel, since there's a heavy presence here, that words should not be said at this time. But then eventually, as you pierce through the exit of the cave, you see this grass-like kind of meadow, this grassy meadow. In the center of it is a very, very large stone with runic inscriptions carved into it. There is a throne that's in front of it that seems to almost be part of the stone itself. Like the stone extends out, and there's an actual throne-like seat. And King Terminus walks in, and turns around and sits in it and goes, Please, have a seat. And as he moves his fingers, the ground erupts, and seats made out of stone rise up and kind of make like a little living room area around him.
Oh!
That's handy. And Horatio would grab a seat.
Thank you.
You may want to stay on your feet for the news we have to give you, King Terminus.
If I may ask, I mentioned earlier that you traveled with some adventurers before. Could you tell me their names?
All in due time. I can give you a very long history of me and Queen Camilla as we adventured. But friends, please sit!
Please, the news we bring, it's dire. She'll take a seat.
All right, you have my attention.
There's unrest in my homeland. And then she looks over at Horatio.
Is it Horatio's like kind of having some distrust issues right now? So he's like, could you please just the names of the adventurers that traveled with you and Queen Camilla, please?
He looks on over to you and goes, Fine. Well, of course, me, Queen Camilla, Kaijin Goren, and then there was Susan Dularian, and, of course, Frank King, and my trusty artificer, Galilia.
So once he says all those names, Kaijin was a little bit of surprise, Kaijin Goren, and he grabs the letter and hands it to him.
We are envoys for Queen Camilla. We've spent some time in Shiverin, and, well, this letter will explain it, but
It's about Kaijin. He's
been usurped
by Hiei.
And he goes, What? Friends, I don't think I heard you correctly. Did you say usurped by Hiei?
Yes, Hiei has assumed control of the demon dancers.
As we speak, their forces surround Fia.
He snatches the scroll from you, Horatio, and looks at it and sees the seal of Camilla. Puts his his index fingers, middle fingers to his finger, and gives it to his lips, and gives it a kiss, and places it down onto the seal. The seal sizzles up and dissipates, and then unfurls into his hand that he begins reading. It takes him a moment to read the letter. It seems to be a lot written on it, and then he furls it back up, puts it into his wizard's robe, and looks on over towards you. And he's always had this look of mischievous look on his face, almost like a child in a huge man's body. But now he looks dead serious. The rocks around him begin to shake and shudder, and you hear you feel a small rumbling at your feet as the rocks begin to rise up. Looking down, you now see that the light that was shining in this entire room is coming from the ground itself, as there are lines, like almost canals, carved into the ground that all circumvent and coalesce directly to where his throne is. Just all these lines that just kind of go out, and they all begin glowing brighter and brighter as the ground around him begins to shake and quiver, and his body starts to ooze out just arcanic energy, and he just looks extremely angry after reading the letter.
Does this feel like a ley line to Horatio?
At advantage, roll me a intelligence check, or arcana check, sorry.
That is an 18.
Okay. You definitely, looking at it, like, you're a little confused because it's something you've never seen before, but you can easily make the assumption that these are probably the ley lines you've read, and they are all converging or coming to this one point that King Terminus is at. So yes, these are ley lines. The queen is in danger. Hiei has rised. The Northworld was lost. Kaijin is... Whoa. And she wishes to form an alliance through marriage by decree of my future wife. I will aid Shiverin. And he says, as he stands up out of his seat, all the rocks and everything falls to the ground.
You'll help?
We've had a strange alliance between Shiverin and Thadeus. I have asked for our countries to be joined as one, but Queen Camilla did not wish to marry, and it seems she has made an offer I cannot refuse. I will give my full support and power to return Shiverin and Frostmoor back to his rightful rulers, and in return she will grant me the one thing I've always wanted, a wife and a legacy. We must leave at once.
This may not be like any war you've fought before. I do not know the history of this land. We are travelers. We face a drow wizard named Doramo, whose powers seem unlike that of any mortal man we have ever met.
They wield chaos.
He's one of the Aegis.
And he kind of looks around to you and just, what? One at a time. Chaos, so you're saying that this Doramo is an agent of chaos?
Yes.
And not only he is an Aegis, a god? How is that possible?
He's either a god or the manifestation.
An aspect.
I roll a persuasion check. He looks like he wants to believe you. The note is written, but this is just flabbergasting for him. You can roll at advantage.
Horatio?
Whoever wants to. Yeah, Horatio. Actually, you've been speaking the most to him.
Because
so yes, roll at
I don't mind King doing it,
I'll do it.
Okay. Fine, King. You can roll a persuasion at advantage.
30.
There's no way I can get that.
Alright. A 30. Alright. He looks on over to Horatio and looks over to you and just goes, I can't believe it. At once, I have means of getting to Thadeus fast.
Please wait. Let us fully give you the full context of what we know so you are most well informed. And can we say that part of that 30 is me explaining the full history of like what we've been through and what we tried and what we've learned?
Sure. Are you explaining everything?
Like a lot. Like pretty much everything.
The important
bits. Like, I might leave out the stuff with Minako, but I'll be like, a god's within me, and like, we're trying to help people, and there's all this shit that's happening, and we learned this because of Horatio's past, and Duran's warband is being corrupted because of these people, and that's sort of why this has all happened. Like, I'll give him the full context.
You're a god.
All of it, yeah, like the full
all
context, yes. To be like, this is what's really like the big like, because now that we believe, like, he seems to be like a super supreme leader and like a good person, sort of how I feel that I think that if he's really
Goodish.
if he's really going to help save these nations, he needs to have the full context. He feels like a person I could trust, even though at first he was kooky. But seeing his serious side, I'm like, you need to know the truth.
And as
Okay.
King finishes up everything, I pull back my jacket for the first time and take one of my magic revolvers off of my shoulder holsters and say, everything that he says is true, on the word of my father's revolvers.
Okay. So it'll take you quite a bit to explain everything as you go on with your telling tales of getting to Shiverin and everything with Doramo and Galdrim, continuing on to meeting everyone and all of your divine effects on the world that you have
I mean,
placed.
maybe not every bush and tree I've made, but like,
But the fact that there's a lot of stuff to unpack
Yeah.
there, and if he knows all of
Give
it,
him a
he
subscription to Tale of D20s.
definitely.
Listen to the podcast.
We tell him to go listen to the podcast.
He speed listens to the podcast and gets caught up. So you go ahead and explain everything as much as you know, all the important bits, but including on your own divinity and about you. And it goes on for it takes you about like 20 minutes or so, and then Cal ends up showing his weapons towards him, and then he just slumps back into his seat. And as he does, and like I said, his throne is huge, so as he's a huge person himself, and as he slumps down onto it, you all hear like a rumbling sound. And the rumbling sound probably didn't come from like his weight or anything like that, just like his sheer magnitude of power that he has residing in him. And the ley lines begin to glow and blink for a moment, and he goes, "Oh, that is a lot to unpack. Oh, and you bet, and I'm here with the children of my best friends. Praise be to the old gods and the new ones. Bringing you here before me, this is not by chance. As I had discussed, I am a theurgist. I dwell in the power of the gods. I link with them, become their conduit, and let them speak through me. And in return, they grant me with their unending power. And I've used this to liberate," he says, laughing after looking at all you, "this plane from the demons that struck it. And now they are back again, in full force, using the power of chaos that we fought so long ago. That your father," he says, pointing towards Cal, "using those arcane, legendary weapons you wield there, those artifacts he's created. And then you, Horatio, the son of Susan and Frank Kane, in the embodiment of my Liki herself." And as he says that, he looks over towards you, King, and kind of gives you... He gives you a bow as he starts to unpack all this, and he says, "And then we must leave at once. Queen Camilla, my future wife, is in danger." And on that note, stepping through the entryway, through the shadows, you hear, "You are not going anywhere, Terminus. Or do you not know the connection you have with the ley lines, the undead rise, possibly connected to all of this? Yet you want to leave and try to help another country, leaving Telos in danger." As Judean walks in, showing himself towards all of you. Your purpose is here to defend Telos, not to go helping your Queen Camilla, because she promised you marriage. And you all claim you are connected to the gods. But how do we know this to be true? I trust Horatio Kane here, as he cannot lie to me, but I do not know your intentions, yet you try to pull the king from his throne.
All we did was deliver the letter.
Does not matter. Terminus, you are to remain here. We will send an army over to Shiverin, and then they will help with the liberation from the usurper here. You will remain here until we deal with the undead scourge that are fighting on our shores.
If I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing what might be a lich up in... Give me 1 second, let me pull up the map.
Rainbow Ridge?
I think it was Rainbow Ridge, but I'm not too sure. The one that's north?
No, it's Rainbow Ridge.
Okay. So I believe I saw what looked to be a lich in Rainbow Ridge bringing his army down towards Thelos.
We are well aware of the undead that's happening there, and the captains...
Well, perhaps the supreme mage of Thelos should step in and follow the king's wishes. And then I'll turn to King's Terminus and I'll say, my friends and allies all call me king and follow me because they believe in me. From one king to another, are you the ruler of these people, or is he? And I point to Judean.
He doesn't even look at you as Judean passes by you, like even acknowledging you, and says, who is your advisor? Who has helped you rule over all of Telos and defend with the Corporus at your side? Please, Terminus, stay here. I will handle this. They claim that the god Erebus has come in this Doramo, as if such a thing is possible. They are being deceived, probably by some dark wizard, that's sure, but none of them is more powerful than the Magus, and he says, pointing to himself, or the king of Thelos. Terminus kind of looks and says, I will aid my future wife, Queen Camilla. I'm sorry, Judean, but she is in trouble, and I will help them. Thank you, my friends, for getting me all these news. I will prepare at once. And you hear kind of as he gets up as he gets up from his throne, as he has sunk back down, and starts stepping up. Judean has this look of anger in his face and kind of shines and looks over at King, and then looks on over at Horatio. As he's about to say something, opening up his mouth, the doors burst open from the other side, and you see one of the Uni Knights running through in the Uni Knight garb, and he goes, My liege! My liege! I'm sorry to interrupt. They've reached our doors. They're pricking in. I've never seen the force so big before. The undead rise. They burst through the symphony. We can't keep them at bay. We need help. The undead is there before us. And as he says that, Judean stands up and goes, No, this cannot be. Gather you unites, and he storms out there, looking back one more time at all of you and says, I deal with this later. We must defend the city, he says, stepping through the doorway, leaving you, the guard, and Terminus all together. And Terminus just looks shocked.
King Terminus, give my friends and myself all of our equipment that we checked at the door, and let us prove to you that we are here to both seek aid and give aid. Let us help defend this city, and then let's have a little talk afterwards.
And I can return us to Fia in a moment's notice after we secure your city. And I'll pull out my ticket of Chasifel to hand it to him.
King Terminus just looks back and goes, The undead? My forces... Right. He goes and punches the air itself as it rips open, almost like dimension rifting, pulling out each as you show off your ticket. He pulls out and grabs your weapons.
Excellent.
And one by one, as you all show your tickets, he just reaches in and just grabs it out.
Also, you should know that there are undead further in your city than the Grey District. We have seen them in other places, even as far as the light.
It's true. Drusilla, leader of the Bloodlen, is cultivating a force, and they plan to leave, but probably not before taking as much as they can from this place.
And who knows what other sects lie unknown.
King Terminus looks over to you and says, I'm aware of the Bloodlen. I will handle this. Thank you, friends. We will speak more of this. I must tend to the front. I must tend to the Great District. They need me. And he goes and walks out, passes the guard who's just kind of panting and sad, and storms through the door, leaving you and the guard in there as he rushes out.
Horatio kind of looks at everyone. So, should we go help?
There's not a lot of time to waste. People are dying as we speak. Let's get moving. Maybe when this undead are done, we can get to him to sense more than just some forces.
Horatio looks at the Unity Knight that's there and says, Do you have a way to get us quickly to the Great District?
I have an idea. And the doors that were there slam shut. like you hear doof, and you look back towards the caveway that he had ran through, and all that, and see whatever light was shining there ends. He goes, I have an idea indeed, as the body starts to shake and shimmer, and the feet starts to break apart, and the image starts to go wobbly and fade, and standing once again before you, shimmering, is the familiar visage of your third instance of looking on as Deja as they cackle in front of you. You can all stay here as my master's plans begins to unfurl.
No!
And that's where we'll take another break and jump into the action after this.